Mondays. Am I right, Joe?
You said it, guy.
Yeah.
Good morning, Goldie. I can't tell you. This is going to be up a week late because Mike had a busier schedule than I did. But you ever have one of those movies that you're convinced if someone didn't like it that they legitimately just don't try to enjoy things in their life?
I just experienced that on my wall recently.
That's what this movie used to be. It was one of the most purely enjoyable things I've ever seen in my life. It was so good. And I didn't expect it to be this good at all. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, so the movie we're reviewing this week is Free Guy, directed by and produced by Shawn Levy, from a screenplay written by Matt Lieberman and Zach Penn. So, Free Guy follows Guy, a bank teller played by Ryan Reynolds, who discovers he's actually a background player in an open world video game called Free City. So when he makes this discovery, he decides to become the hero of his own story, one that he can rewrite himself. In a world where there's no limits, he's determined to save the day his way before it's too late, and maybe find a little romance with the coder who conceived him. So, first, my opening question. How familiar are you with Shawn Levy's previous films?
I will admit to you, a little. Like, I know the Night at the Museum movies and like Real Steel and a couple. I just know that he is not a director that it's like, Shawn Levy, I'm there. That it just doesn't scream that, but wow. This is his best movie he's ever made, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think that is that is a fair thing to say.
Yeah. This might be my favorite Ryan Reynolds movie. I'm not gonna lie. I might like this more than Deadpool.
We'll talk about Deadpool a little bit later because I have some things to say about that. But right off the top, I can say that Levy and Reynolds make a great actor-director pair.
Yep. Ryan also helped produce this as well, right?
Yep, he is a producer.
Yes. Oh.
And I think like the number one reason why this movie works is because everyone is playing to each other's strengths. Mm-hmm. Like Reynolds knows and understands his brand so much that like he can apply it to almost any situation. And Levy, he's not necessarily an auteur filmmaker, but he has a very sharp eye when it comes to like the basic ingredients of what makes a good story. Mm-hmm. And that's the characters, it's the very high concept premise, and it's building a believable world. And the irony of that is that a lot of the movie takes place in the game, but just as much takes place in the real world too.
It's a very good mix.
Which I wasn't really expecting.
No, this entire movie was not what I was expecting it to be. Like, NPC comes to life in a video game. I expected, okay, he's going to try and beat a video game boss, and there's going to be maybe once or twice in the real world because, you know, they got to have that in there because whatever. But it's like, there was a whole plot, like, cross-generating between the NPC and humans. I was just like, I don't know if maybe just like that escaped my mind because this movie was supposed to come out 13 decades ago, but like I was not expecting the plot of this movie to be the plot of this movie when I watched it.
Yeah, it's a lot smarter than I think even the trailers let on.
Yeah. And it doesn't try to overdo the fact that it's one thing. And I'm seeing people complain about certain ways this movie was made, and every one of them I'm seeing is not a person that plays video games. And I can tell for the most part, has a genuine concept of how certain things actually aren't how they are. And let me explain that. A lot of people saying that certain humor in here is cringy, or they're like, certain people don't act like that. I'm a person that has regularly streamed for 4 years now. Every bit of the stupid behavior you see of certain people in here is so true to a terrifying extent. It's unreal. And like
even the 22-year-old who lives with his mom.
Yes, absolutely. All of that stuff, like the talking to the camera and trying to get them to say their cool catchphrase that the kids love, all that's 1,000%. Pick 10 random video game streamers that do nothing but do Fortnite, GTA, all that. You will see it in every one of them. All that's 100% true. And like the NPCs in video games, the way that like they're written in here, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I noticed another thing watching it for the 3rd time today that I did not notice the other 2 times that I watched it. There's a car. It's the little itty bitty shitbox smart car.
Oh yeah.
That's only like a single cab that walks by Ryan when he's checking his bank account for the shoes. That's changing the color of its paint job while it's going across the corner, like the character's changing their paint job driving through the game. I'm like, I didn't notice that the first 2 times I played it.
Oh, wow.
It scares me that I'm not noticing stuff like that in here. And like my roommate, and this is what I mean by they did their research for certain things. There's dumb stuff in here that if they were just going to be like, we're a cool video game and we're going to shove Sonic and this is, in my opinion, what a more focused version of what like Wreck-It Ralph 2 was. Because like that was like, oh hey, Sonic's doing a thing, but don't do that, but go fast. There wasn't one of those in there. I was expecting this to be, hey man, Lara Croft's over there. It's pretty cool, right? They never did anything like that ever in here, and that made me so happy.
Yeah, I understand a lot of like where the Wreck-It Ralph comparisons come from, but the difference is instead of this being like, instead of it being that kind of like Space Jammy Who Framed Roger Rabbit, like mix up of all these different things, and they very well could have done that by like, you know, a lot of these streamers who like experiment with modding and all of that. They could have gone in that direction, but I guess like the singular point of reference was like Grand Theft Auto and all of those sort of first person shooters.
Yep. Which I don't know if this is true, but in this movie, they have a first person shooter segment, which I have for about 2 seconds, which I have not seen since the multi-Academy Award nominated seminal classic of Doom starring The Rock and Carl Urban. But it's just, I cannot stress how easily smart this movie was written. All the things that, like, I compared it to a friend of mine. Imagine the people that understand video games talking to a person that doesn't know what a video game is like explaining, like, what I want to say, like, movies to a person who lived in the Stone Age. Like, this person is talking to someone about, like, the cops are talking to Guy about his skin and where he got it. That's alien language that writes the jokes for itself by not trying to overdo it. Like, what do you want? I have naturally doughy skin. I don't know what you want me to tell you. Why do people keep asking me about my skin? Like, that's natural. And it's not like they're trying to hammer the joke home. That's just talking. The subject matter lends itself so well if you take it out of the context it's normally used in. Gamer lingo is great.
I'm a little disappointed that the skin joke didn't come back like one more time just to complete the rule of 3, but the way it was used was funny, and I think it's because of Reynolds' delivery that it made that joke work.
Absolutely. Ryan makes so much in this work, and the thing that this is the testament of why, again, if you do not enjoy life, is the only reason why I could say a good chunk of people don't like this movie. I'm being dead serious. One of my best friends, Danny, which I don't know if you're ever going to watch this, his wife Alexa, who is another great friend of mine, I love her to death. Me and her could not disagree more on movies if we physically tried, I believe. I don't think I could find a person who dislikes the type of movies I like as much as Alexa. And it's not a burn against her. People have different opinions. She has very different whatever. Me and my roommate, Matt, who is Danny's brother and Alexa's brother-in-law, obviously, went and saw this. And then we both walked out of the theater and we're like, this is the one. We take Alexa to this. She's going to like a Ryan Reynolds movie. She has never disliked Ryan Reynolds, but she hates the movies that he's in. Interesting. Yes. Like Deadpool, she thought he played a great Deadpool. Hated everything else about Deadpool. Instantly regretted the movie she got out of the theater. Everything he's been in, rom-coms, everything. We took her to see this movie. She was crying, laughing. She was cheering, everything. She walked out wanting to go see it again. Like the next weekend, I was like, I've done it. I felt like I created life. I was so happy that I got her to like a Ryan Reynolds movie. And I was like,
you were keys.
Exactly. I was so happy. And what I think the key to that is, speaking of keys, is this movie is PG-13.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Ryan Reynolds' comedy, I think the PG-13 in context of why there wasn't a lot of raunchier stuff that she doesn't like, I think what made this work a little bit more for her, and for some people, like they tire of Ryan Reynolds' comedy, I don't. I think Ryan is great, is that a lot of Ryan's comedy in a lot of movies is him making a joke about something of how good or how bad it is by comparing it to something else in real life. Like in Deadpool, he compares his face by what was it? A avocado head got face fucked by a topographical man of Utah. He can't make those jokes in this movie because he doesn't know what those things are.
That's really smart.
He makes like 2 of those jokes in here, and it's only about like the coffee and like the ice cream. And then 98% of the movie, none of that's in there. It's all a different style of how Ryan Reynolds normally acts. It's his type of delivery, but it's him living out as an NPC, and it's a different flavor of Ryan that you don't get to see that much. Give or take, he's still quirky and knows how to deliver. I can't remember exactly how it is, but just like his delivery of certain words and how he acts in certain situations, no one can do quite like him. Like my favorite, just like weird off comedy, is like when he's in Hitman's Bodyguard and he's talking to the guy at the stand about how he really hopes they kill Samuel L. Jackson, and just describing this as explosions are going off in the background. Like no one else can have that conversation. He's like, I hope they kill him. I really do. It's like, sir, like only Ryan can do that. But it's
the way that movie Bob in his review described like his comedic sensibilities is he's an earnest, wise guy.
He is. I agree with that 100%. Absolutely.
And I was just looking up some of the previous movies that the writers worked on. Matt Lieberman, he's done mostly like family films. Like he did the animated Addams Family.
Okay.
From a couple years ago. He worked on the Christmas Chronicles, that movie with Kurt Russell.
Oh yeah.
He did Scoob, that movie last year.
Huh.
So his kind of his forte is like mostly family films, while the other guy, Zach Penn, he worked on X-Men: The Last Stand, Elektra. He wrote the story for X2. He wrote The Incredible Hulk, and he did like one of the drafts of the Avengers, like before Joss Whedon like took over.
Huh. Nice.
So it's that kind of it's the synthesis of like the more wholesome family entertainment with like more genre material meshed together. Plus, Sean Levy is, aside from Real Steel, better known for producing and directing a couple episodes of Stranger Things.
Yes, which is where you get the best stepmom in all of Hawking, Steve Harrington, Joe Keery.
Yes.
Here.
And Joe Keery in this movie is awesome.
Yes, he is.
He's probably my favorite version of that, like that archetype.
Yes. Everyone was great. I want to watch Killing Eve now. I had no idea who Jodie Comer was before this movie, but me and my roommate are going to start watching Killing Eve as soon as we can get an availability to see it. She's awesome. And for anybody that doesn't know, the cover of Fantasy at the end of the movie is being sang by Jodie Comer, and it is amazing.
It is so good.
I don't know what it hits in that I just love it so much about where it's either darker and slower or just slower versions of songs that get remixed that I love so much. I mentioned it during our Black Widow review when that girl, now her name's escaping me, did that version of Smells Like Teen Spirit, where it was very slowed down and more methodical, and this is more slowed down and just more earnest. I don't know what it is about remix where they slow down a higher pitched, more energetic music that I love, but if it's done right, it's whoo.
That's the thing. The original song has to be great, but the song also has to be malleable.
Yes.
Sometimes it's really dissonant when you take a song that was supposed to be up tempo and slow it down. Mm-hmm. But at least these two examples, they work.
Yes, and also the music in here, every bit of it rocks. The chosen music, the score. When he walks out of that store and he's got the kicks on, he's like, "Stop what you're doing, because I'm about to ruin the style and the look that you're used to." Like, every bit of it is just nailed. I can't get. We barely talked about anything that happens in this movie, and we've gone 17 minutes.
All right, so let's spoil some shit.
Okay, yeah. So what the basic thing is, and also one thing that is crazy about this is this came out in a time where a bunch of gaming studios are being put into the frying pan for just being shitty.
Mm-hmm.
So this came out at a crazy time that, like, give or take, there's a lot of that goes about it all the time. But it's just like the not caring about it. That's what I mean with like people like understanding how real this stuff is. Like, oh yeah, I just lied about that. So what? The skins don't work. It's gonna come back in through here. So it's just, it dropped at a really great time. And seeing the moments like what I want to say, where you actually get to see how stupid coding could be, where like people are living. The best parts about this is where you see what the people are like during NPC interactions when the cutscene is happening over here in the video game. In this movie, you get to see the NPCs that aren't even having coding during regular time. Like, what's happening with them? And it's Ryan and it's Guy and Buddy with their arms crossed like they're having a campfire underneath the bank teller, just talking about having beers after work. We're like, yep, so this happens. And like Buddy unclips his freaking gun belt and just goes behind a thing like, yeah, okay, we're not going to try. I'm like, that's stupid, but that's accurate.
Yeah, it's like this world, as dark and gritty as it is, it's just their 9 to 5.
It is their 9 to 5. And the thing that is so, again, I'm going to talk about the accuracy. Remember that scene where Ryan puts out the guy that's on fire?
Mm-hmm.
10 seconds later, a guy comes by, shoots him dead, shoots him 2 more times, and then teabags him. That is video games in a nutshell. They could have just stopped the scene and kept going. That was perfect.
I want to talk a little bit more about the fictitious AAA developers.
Tsunami. That pissed me off so much. I hate the fucking spelling of that, and they did that on purpose. Anyway, go on.
We'll talk a little bit more about Taika Waititi in a little bit, but the other guy that that I'm always happy to see show up is Mouser, played by, I'm probably going to butcher this name, Utkarsh Ambudkar. I've never heard it like pronounced like his full name before, but he's great. He's like he shows up in these kind of roles all the time.
Yeah, he's perfect for supporting roles. The dude just like sticks into the background and it does whatever is needed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Taika Waititi as like the main antagonist is he nails this very specific type of internet troll who just happens to also run a major corporation.
He's a douchebag. Taika Waititi plays a really, really good douchebag. And it's just like, again, I don't think you're that big into video games, Mike, but like I am, and hearing about news about how just like stuff works out and you get to hear certain decisions about certain asshole video game developers and just like, this is, and people are like, he's really overdone. No one acts like that. I'm like, go look into some stuff. Taika is tame compared to some of the stupid horse shit you could hear from certain video game developers.
And it's not just video game developers either. Like some other examples of eccentric billionaires that were in my head were Elon Musk, Zuckerberg to some degree.
To some degree, yeah.
Like I don't know if this if the real world was supposed to take place in like Silicon Valley, but these are characters who would like fit in at like it like in a place like an Apple or a Google, and Levy even did a movie, a not good movie, but a movie called The Internship, which was about Google.
Yeah, I heard about that. Oh, I saw previews for that. I never saw it, but yeah, it's, again, didn't scream what I like, but man, I might try Sean more often if he does stuff like this. But yeah, and then just the environment of the inside of Tsunami. Of it's just like, no, and then like 10 seconds later, it's like, yeah, we love him. Get more of him. I want his skin in the next game. It's whatever. He's costing me money. Fucking get rid of him. I don't want him in here. He's done. But people like him. I don't care. He's costing me money. And then just the people are just like, but yeah, I'm trying. I don't care if you're trying. Try harder. It's not possible, sir. I don't give a shit. You're not leaving to see your family until you do. Oh, they understood their source material a touch too well. Which one of the guys, one of the streamers that were on there, a guy that I'm a fan of, Jacksepticeye, he actually had Ryan on his YouTube channel to play the Deadpool video game with him.
Oh, that's awesome.
And this was years before this movie was even a concept. So that's one of the first guys who was like, yeah, let's get him in there.Maybe Jack will know some other guys to know what he's doing.
I was going to ask, aside from him, did you recognize any of the other
Recognized two. Really wished one of them wasn't in there. I can't stand Ninja. Hate the guy. Absolutely. I think he's annoying as hell. And then Pokimane.
Who is Ninja?
He's a big Fortnite streamer that is like a whiny baby. And whenever he doesn't like something in the game, he bitches to the point of where the studio actually took stuff out of the game because it was not to his liking.
Oh, but who was he in the film?
Oh, he was the guy who he had like lightish blondish hair, always wore a headband. Like he was the only one that you actually got to see shots inside his streaming studio.
Oh, okay. That was Ninja.
Yeah, that was Ninja. And then the other one who I don't watch her stuff, but I know of her because she gets mentioned a lot is Pokimane. The one that had like the more expressive like notifications popping up on her thing. Oh. And she actually had her name in the front center on the top here. She was the brunette, darker skin girl. But yeah, that and like the other guys, like the names were mentioned and they sounded vaguely familiar, but those were the two biggest ones.
Okay.
So I recognized I recognized about half of them. Twitch is a big place.
Yes.
Even the big people. Even the big people you're not going to see if you don't notice it. They're going to be a person that's got millions of followers. You might have never watched a video of theirs. It's crazy. But and I could just go on and on through every scene about how just the way that Ryan being in a situation he is makes the comedy great. But like, I didn't expect to actually like be emotionally invested in the story of these characters, like the job of suing and then Ryan finding out, or a guy finding out that he's not a video game character, and then I cannot, like, there's multiple times in this movie where I'm like, that should not have worked as well as that did, or that should not be as heartfelt or as genuine as that was. And one of the biggest moments is toward the end when, like, even after he's talking with Buddy and he's just like, dude, you're skipping your job. Why are you not at the bank? Why are you not living you're going to get into a big thing about why I really like this movie so much. It partially impacted me in a moment when I'm kind of in my life right now. When they're sitting in Buddy's apartment and he's asking them, what if someone told you you were fake? Like, you literally don't exist. And he's just like, well, right now I'm in a room trying to help my best friend, so I'm okay with that. If your life is not real, you're okay with this. He's like, if I'm not trying to help my best friend, what? I don't know what's not real about that. I'm just somebody trying to help someone they love. I'm like, that scene came out of nowhere. Just like, are you? What is this movie?
Yeah, that scene hit me. It's one of those moments where you really I said this somewhere else on Facebook, but like, you have to be deathly allergic to cheese if this stuff had no effect on you.
None. And it's people that are the exact subject matter nailed to the degree of everyone's just like, they're stuck in their own positions, which is partially, I've been having a bad luck of emotional couple of things going on, feeling like I was going nowhere in my life, and it's certain stuff with my job. That's why a lot of this hit me, because a lot of the subject matter is about feeling stuck and not getting anywhere.
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of reason why this resonated with me. Like, just the conversation about them in Buddy or in Guy's lair about just like, kind of felt stuck, I need something different in my life and I'm going to try and get better. And then just like the whole thing about where's the bank? There is no bank, man. Just like, this movie went into so much more than what I was expecting. But question, is there some things that like are video games kind of like that, or like, did they overdo it? Was there any points like you felt like that?
Not necessarily, but being kind of on the outside of the gaming community, it's not like, how should I put this? Okay, yeah, being outside the gaming community, I may have missed like certain nuances, like, again, for example, all of these streamers, I will recognize them now that like I know who they are, but watching the film, I recognize a little bit of like what they're trying to do, but it also at the same time feels like, because this is a movie, that they come across a little bit more rose tinted than perhaps in real life. That's really my only comment on it, is like, like I'm sure there are some gamers out there who despise this movie because it comes off a little too cheesy at times, and even just like the celebrity of Guy seems a little too over the top, as opposed to just simply memes of like the game being broken.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it feels like if this were in the real world, there would be more like epic fail videos, or just like a ton of conspiracy theories about I don't know if you remember all like the Pokimane glitches, like
Yeah.
Like all the Pokimane glitches that the names that are escaping me at the moment.
Yeah, like missing O and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Back in the day,
missing O is what I was thinking of.
Yep. Yeah, no, I carry it there. And that was one of those things where that was a movie thing, and I was okay with that because they had to make it that it was. They had to make a big of a deal enough of it to where it would get Antoine's attention. So like I got that as like a story standpoint. And I think that they were trying to make it so they didn't spend too much time in the real world. So they didn't do some of that other stuff because you hear about them. Like Antoine mentions the AI conspiracy theory that other people are talking about. Like he just mentions it. And so other people, like they act like talks are happening outside of it. And it does help that the game, I think that like the whole movie takes place in a period of like 3 days.
Yeah, that does help.
Yeah. And the things I was going to talk about, I don't know if you'd mention, and like things that my roommate didn't notice it until he came and watched it the second time when I would tell you that I was really happy we'd made Alexa watch it. He didn't notice that again, another time when Guy is I was wrong. The time with the car was when the guy was being thrown through the convenience store window. The one at the bank kiosk, when he's looking through the first time for his, I can't remember if it was the first time or the second time, but in the background, there was a guy jumping and just being dumb, and then he glitches himself into a wall and it just is stuck there. There's no point in having that. The whole focus is on Ryan. They're just like, we have to remember, and this is a problem that like, it's not a problem. It's just that some people don't do this to the extent, and it's thing I wish more happens in movies. It's just like, you could tell it's a movie in this scene because 1,000% of the focus is on there and the background just disappears, even though it's real life. Almost every scene in this movie was like, no, other stuff's happening while stuff is happening with this guy. Mm-hmm. And it's one thing I really appreciated, like that dumb glitch with him on there. Or while Ryan's saving somebody else, there's a dude on the fire in the background that randomly gets shot by a dude 4 times. And it's just, there's always something going on because that's how the game would be. That's how GTA Online is. A little bit of exposure I've had, that is nonstop. And it's what they basically base this off of. I'm going to confirm that, but.
So what you're saying is this movie has a lot of rewatchability.
Absolutely. Like I said, I didn't notice the color changing on the damn car, and I've seen it twice already. And like what we said before, they don't overdo it. In the video game or in the movie or in the
game within the film.
In the game within the film, they only use like portal gun, the Mega Blaster, and the Fortnite unicorn like hammer thing. They only use like 3 well-known video game weapons in an almost 2-hour-long movie. They mention almost no other video game characters. They were very much not trying to make this we're going to take advantage of just throwing a bunch of random shit in and hope people recognize it. They used them for cool moments, and that was it. And I appreciate the shit out of that because it makes for a better movie, in my opinion.
Okay, so speaking of video games within the film, obviously Free City is kind of their version of Grand Theft Auto or Saints Row. But is what was the name of the indie game that
Free Life?
Free Life.
Yes.
And is there obviously because it's a movie, it's a lot more ambitious. But are there similar games like that was that you
not
can compare
quite to that degree, but like stuff is getting there to where people have more, where AIs have more complex pathing. I should say, like, I'll show the example. My favorite game of all time is Horizon. It was Banjo-Tooie for over teens of years. And I can't remember the exact number. I think it's like 13 until Horizon came out. Randomly, I was walking across the path, stalking an enemy, and I stopped by a tree. And I was waiting to shoot it, and I didn't realize until I looked to the right of me that there was a trail of ants taking food down a tree all the way back a good 30 feet to an anthill.
Wow.
Like, are you fucking kidding me? And then all of a sudden you get to this one city in the Expanse where there's people that have whole routines of them going to a shopping center, grabbing stuff out of crates, and then taking it back to the place where they work and restacking and like doing daily jobs. It's not quite there at that point, but there's stuff where it's getting more complicated. I am one of those people that, like, they mentioned people that would want to sit and watch a video game and watch people explore and do it. I would eat that shit up so bad. So bad. Because it's just like, this is one of my, we're going to get into some real life. Brock Hatfield hates some stuff here. One of my biggest things that I hate, and it's partially being a Twitch streamer and a video gamer, is that people will consistently say, you're a loser. I'm like, why am I a loser? He's like, you really want to watch people play video games? You could just play the video games yourself. You're seriously going to sit and pay to watch people play video games? I have to go watch Monday Night Football right now. That's different. I can't go play football myself. I'm just going to pay to watch someone else do a thing that I enjoy so I could comment on it. Oh, it's different. It's not the exact same fucking thing. Just it's not cool macho, so it's whatever. I watch football too, jackass, but don't make fun of me when it's the same fucking thing. Why do we watch movies?
All right, if we're getting into comparisons, we kind of have to address the elephant in the room.
Truman Show?
Yeah, let's dive into it. First of all, when was the last time you watched it?
Like 2 years ago.
Oh, so recently.
Mm-hmm. And
I'll admit it's been a while, and I would like to revisit it again soon.
Outside of the fact that there's an ocean that is the barrier of the world, and he is a character that is watched, stops there.
All right.
That to me, as a comparison, is one of the laziest comparisons I've heard in my entire life. The Truman Show. Now, keep track here because you guys are going to think that I am just spitballing. The Truman Show is about a single guy who was born and manifested his whole life, closely watched by everyone to make sure his life was in a certain way, and he was hidden from everything else. Everyone inside of Truman's world is in on it. Every aspect of his life, every corner, every nook, every cranny, he is watched like a hawk at all moments. And the second something goes off, everyone inside of the world that he's in tries to stop him, including everyone outside of the world, because they were in the thing to watch just him. In Free Guy...
May I?
Go ahead.
Free Guy is the inversion of Truman Show, where instead of everyone else being in on like the secret, he discovers it on his own, and he becomes like the drop in the bucket for the rest of the world.
Yep. And he is working inside the world with the person on the outside of the world to fix it so that he can stay inside Free City. He's not a person who got out. He's the one that wanted to stay in. This could not be less like the Truman Show if they fucking tried. Like, it's the laziest comparison I've ever heard in my entire life. This is like, oh yeah, so yeah, what did you like? I really like Tenet. Like, it's dumb. It's the same thing as Fury. No, it's not. I'm like, yeah, it's got war in it.
But
that guy's wearing a uniform.
But if I may be honest, the one scene I did think was the most similar to Truman Show was when Guy and Buddy were just having a heart-to-heart together. It kind of reminded me of that one scene where Jim Carrey is talking to like his in-universe best friend.
Yeah.
But again, the difference is like he's basically reading off a script where like the moment that Buddy and Guy share is genuine.
Like they're both in this situation together. One of them realizes it and one of it doesn't.
But that scene, like, you know, we made the comparison, but that scene is also the perfect, like, that scene is like the proof of what we were saying, that Free Guy is Truman Show inverted.
Yep. Yeah, and it's got a couple of other things going on to where it's like it goes back to that, like that I saw that comparison for the first time underneath Ryan's comment about how it's the first new IP like that is in theaters currently or whatever, and then someone comment underneath it, yeah, good one, idiot. It's just the Truman Show over again to a T. I'm like, the next time you have a thought, just let it go. Let it go, fly free. Because I hate to break it to you, it's almost impossible to make an original movie. It's almost like they've been made for a long time and everything's been done.
Yep.
Just gonna throw that out there. But anyway,
okay, last thing, then we'll move on.
Yeah.
Like whether or not this was directly inspired by Truman Show, that movie came out long enough ago that any other movie with a similar premise is going to be standing on its shoulders.
Exactly. And even if this was meant as a remake of the Truman Show, it's better, in my opinion. And the people that make that whole, no movies are good if they're just remakes and whatever, I'm like, I'm going to send something kind of earth-shattering to you. Go look up the first Scarface. No, the first one. Because it's not the one with Al Pacino. That's a remake! Oh no! But anyway, off that tangent, again, going into what makes these great is the love story between Keys and Millie, which doesn't get talked about enough. It's great. It's natural. It's the classic one doesn't realize that Guy lives with, and that they just, the classic they're best friends, but only one of them realizes that the other's in love with them. That's pretty basic, but I feel like they do it well. And nothing is
something else I liked about this is that it wasn't a love triangle between like Millie and Keys and Guy.
Yep.
Guy was basically just like he was sort of like the bridge that reconnected Millie and Keys.
The weird part is she fell in love with Keys through the digital version of Keys.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like you just said, it's like it was a love triangle, but both other ends of the triangle point. It's like a love trapezoid. You went in two directions. It's a love diamond where you just basically went whoop. It's going to the same place.
Yep. The only time it ever felt weird was when Millie had to explain what happened. I think it was Keys who brought up like, well, is it a little bit of weird that he's like 4?
Technically, it's okay. You had to make it weird. You just had to say that. That was great. Oh, I was, again, going back to my friend Alexa. I was so scared because there was a joke in that again, I don't know how like certain humor hits for the genders mixed or whatever. When he makes the comment, that's not even a button in the video game. Oh, he found the button. She was howling. I was just like, oh, that joke landed how it was supposed to. Thank God. And like, I can already see the CinemaSins guy's going to rip it apart because then she kissed him later on. And it's just like, that's kind of broken my brain. But anyway, all of that is great. And then like, the movie just keeps on going. For a 2-hour long movie, it feels like it's a half an hour long, in my opinion. It flies by.
It really does.
And everything with, they use Taika very sparingly, which is good, because, man, if there was more Taika in that movie, like, Taika is extra Taika here in certain points. Like, the explanation behind Albuquerque boiled turkey it's pretty ridiculous, which Sean Levy has openly said, I did not make this in the hope that I could get a sequel, but I tell you right now, if I make that movie, it has to be titled Free Guy to Albuquerque Boiled Turkey.
Oh, please. Oh, please.
That is the new Electric Boogaloo if that happens. I'm just throwing that out there. But, like, he's very extreme, and he's handled in the situations where it's like, okay, we only need to have Antoine in here for a little bit, or he's going to be overdone. And, like, they show that, like, Antoine is, like, a normal guy. He just doesn't know how to control himself. Like, in the really sweet moment where he comes on, he's like, why aren't you up in programming, man? You've got the brains for it. Why aren't you? What's going on? Like, that one little moment where he just, like, you literally see him, like, take the Batman cowl off and turn into the person underneath. I was like, that was a really sincere moment. That was kind of weird. I wasn't expecting him to have one of those because it's Taika, and Taika likes to be Taika. But it's like, that was cool.
Yeah, I mean, when he puts his mind to it, he can be a great dramatic actor.
Oh, absolutely. And also, people, go watch the cast interview where it's Jodie, Steve, Taika, and Ryan about how Ryan and Taika talk about how it's so great to finally do a film together.
Oh, I see what they did there.
And the entire time, Steve and
Joe
and Jodie are like, you guys have never done a movie together? He's, nope, not at all. It's Hollywood's a crazy thing how we finally got to meet each other. They finally mentioned Green Lantern, and Ryan and Taika have left the room. But yeah. And the man talking about, like, I guess we're heading towards the climax of, like, Ryan finding out about, again, why the writing in this movie is so well. Hearing an NPC explain to another NPC about how their acting is stupid is the best.
Oh, you're talking about the guy?
Well, with that and then Phyllis. But the guy with his hands telling him to put it down, I'm like, the whole concept about having the NPC player is the reason why I don't believe why it gets away from Truman Show, in my opinion. But my favorite, well, obviously the hands guy is great, but when he's talking to Phyllis, breaking down how she is a video game character and no one else would act like that. They're not standing on top of each other to form a little triangle so they can jimmy apart the locks. They don't have thumbs, Phyllis. It just, man, we're almost going on an hour, so we need to start getting toward the ending, but it's just like, it's so well written. And one of the best written parts about it, again, and why it's so good with video games and why I love it, is Dude. Everything about him. Go ahead.
Everything from like the foreshadowing of, like, oh, we're developing this new skin. He's like, and the graphics people are like, yeah, he's not ready yet. He's still like barely halfway done.
Yep.
And then once they pull the trigger, it's like he has half a brain. At first, for a second there, like, I thought they were talking about Antoine for a second, but then we meet Dude. And he literally only says, like, catchphrase.
That was the one that won me over. I was like, yes, he's dumb because they didn't put the work in. He's the glitches they talk about hating because people do shortcuts into game development. Like, yes. And
then the other thing is 3 things. It's like one is
I love I think it's beating people. It's something about kicking people's asses, I think.
Kicking people's asses, TBD, and then the third one.
Third thing here. Say night-night, catchphrase. Catchphrase? Didn't have time to think one up, but you got to admit, catchphrase as a catchphrase is a pretty cool catchphrase. And like my favorite joke, and it's multi-layered, is stupid as that sounds. People that are muscular get made fun of because they wear too small of shirts. All they did for dude was jack up his video game model, but they didn't fix his shirt. So it looks like he's wearing the old character's shirt, but it's not big enough.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like those like it's like he's wearing one of those temporary tattoos of a teacher.
Yeah, it does. And this gets into the point of when they're having the fight, which is great. And it goes into Ryan was having an interview about how this movie was made in the middle of the Fox buyout.
Mm-hmm.
And that made for the moment of where it's like another thing in video games where you have the classic video game weapons, but then you also have the dumb DLC packs.
Yep.
Which are what I accidentally almost fucking spoiled it for you when we were talking during the capes thing, when I mentioned I was going to cosplay Free Guy. And I said I was going to buy a cap shield.
Actually, I was spoiled. I was spoiled about that before that.
Damn it! That's my one of my favorite parts of the whole movie. It's just like, what does he have in his inventory? When he popped up that cap shield, I was gone. And then they started playing the fucking Avengers theme, and you get the 2-second. What the shit? Coming from Chris Evans.
Now, what didn't get spoiled was the lightsaber.
Yep. Oh, that dude. And they almost when did The Last Jedi come out?
The Last Jedi was 2017.
It was 2017. Did you notice that Ryan pretty much pulls the lightsaber out almost identically to how Kylo pulls out the lightsaber when he gets it force tricked behind his back from Rey?
Oh wow. That's a good pull.
I don't know if that's what they meant, but it looks a lot like it. And my roommate, again, I popped real hard because my favorite MCU person is Cap. Thought they did it magically. And then my roommate and his whole family literally bleed Star Wars. So he's sitting next to me. And then all of a sudden that comes and the fucking Star Wars theme starts playing. He was losing his mind. He was just like, what? And then the outside reaction of everyone is exactly how it was mirrored in the theater. Is that a lightsaber? The best part is the guy who is supposed to be the developer of the game doesn't understand how we got a lightsaber. And then he ends it with the freaking Fortnite unicorn thing. I was kind of like, I was kind of hoping they were going to have him slice one of his arms off.
I was expecting that too.
Because they have the getaway. It's how they did it in Clone Wars, I believe, because if you cut someone with a lightsaber, automatically cauterizes the wound. No bleeding. That's how you get away with it, kids. Either motor oil, cyborg juice, or you don't have the blood.
My only explanation for why that didn't work was simply he's buff, he's indestructible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some sort of power scaling bullshit.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's how it works. And the fact that the dumbest part, and I laughed at it way too hard. It should not have been this funny to me, but the way they presented it was golden. They have the portal gun, and they show it lit earlier when Molotov Girl uses it to go away. But the fact that he uses the portal gun to walk like 10 feet. And then gets knocked back through the portal. They telegraphed it perfectly, but it was done so well. And he defeats dude
by throwing the glasses into the portal
and making him see pretty colors. Oh, go live free, better me. Oh, it's so good. And then you get the corniness of the everything's being taken away, and you get to hear that just bitter, sweet cover of Fantasy playing as they're going through. And dude, I teared up this time when Buddy and him were talking. And it's the thing where I talked about where it's like, I work in a factory, and there's certain days where it's just like, I feel like I'm trapped and nothing's going on in my life, especially with the world not letting anyone live their lives. And that just whole thing where he's just like, I'm sorry. He's like, I'm not. It's the best damn day of my life. Because when he's like, go and make it better. And I was just like, fucking right. Like, go. I was so happy.
And I think ultimately that's what I love about this movie. It's the rejection of cynicism. Mm-hmm. Like the rejection of the cynicism of the gaming industry, of dead end jobs, of even like even the thought of if Keyes never had the courage to admit his true feelings to Millie, that's something he would regret for the rest of his life.
Absolutely. And you could not think of something more of single white man nerd romantic, in my opinion, than, I need to base a video game character off of someone they're in love with, but he can't quite talk to her. Yep, that'll work. It just totally programs her to love everything about the girl that he loves. And
if anyone else wrote the screenplay for this, like that subplot would have come off as creepy and like uncomfortable, but the way it works here, you really do buy into it.
You do buy into it because, again,
it also helps that like they were friends and even partners before Keyes sold out.
Yep. And it's just like, I've heard some people call it just like this whole big movie trope that like people are that much in love with each other or whatever. They just don't realize it until someone breaks the fourth wall. It's like, I, in a weird way, have experienced this in my own life. Not to this extent, but I won't mention her name. There is a girl that like I had a giant crush on when I was younger. And then a lot of stuff happened in my life, and me and her didn't get along at first. And then she helped me through it, and I helped her through some stuff, and then we became incredibly, incredibly close. Because I was one of the few people that still like kept in contact after high school. I went to her wedding, for crying out loud. And then after it split, I was like a coward. And I was like, it's still got that feeling there. And then they are with someone else currently. And I'm like, I just have to ask. I'm like, if I would have said something, would you have? They're like, in a heartbeat, I would have. I'm like, I was just like, damn it! It happens.
It's honestly the worst feeling in the world to have that kind of regret and just never get the courage to just ask.
Yeah, and it's just like, so people always are like, this is a movie, it never works. I'm like, it's more around than you know. It's probably happened to you, but you don't realize it because you never had the latter part of it happen. And like you said, it helped Keyes because, again, they have this weird dumb term that we're going to call the love diamond, where she fell in love through him because someone else made her see how much he loved her. That's a weird plot device I've never seen in a movie before. She fell in love with a digital programmed version of someone because they were too cowardly to say it themselves. And he didn't even try to do it either. It happened on accident.
Mm-hmm.
Ah,
I think that detail is why it doesn't come off as creepy.
mm-hmm. Yep.
Because like it wasn't his intention to like and I'm even glad that they were I'm even glad that it's not that they were dating and they broke up. It's just they were partners developing this game, and then reasons why the game fell through, or corporations being
device.
Yeah,
no, I agree with you there. I was very happy because that part would have felt very much written, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
And also it's just that like she always had that one thing that it's a weird plot thing that only gets brought up at the end of the or like resolved at the end of the movie, and it doesn't get talked about that much, is like Keys mentions it once, is her extreme need for validation. And she mentions it a little bit with Guy about how she always needed, like, you had to be great in her family. Could it be just minor? And at the end, when freaking Taika, again, in my life, if you would have told me, so there's going to be this great movie where Ryan Reynolds as a video game character is going to be running to save someone's lawsuit in a video game, and then Taika Waititi is going to be smashing computers with an axe, and the song of this montage is going to be a slowed down version of Fantasy by Mariah Carey, and it will work? Huh? But yeah, like at the end, and Antoine has literally lost everyone, including his own security guards, who thought that dude in the game was a hero because they get to see what all that is. Just Millie at the end is like, dude, I don't give a shit about money. I never have. I want to do something that makes me happy and show that I could create something because I don't need to have other people tell me that I'm good enough. I'm like, how is this movie speaking to every part of my life right now? Like, it's like, you're giving up millions of dollars. I don't care. You're a douchebag, dude. This is going to fall apart if you don't have us. Just take your stuff and go. If you say no, I'll sue you for millions of dollars.
Man, the writing is just so good.
It is.
Even and the weird coincidence that this movie came out, days at most, like a week after all the Blizzard Activision stuff.
It could not have been better timed. It's kind of crazy how the pandemic moved it into the exact situation I was going to describe. The only thing I was missing was a bunch of sexist comments towards women. That was the only thing out of the video game industry that it was kind of missing.
Even that, I kind of like. It was kind of implied, shoot, I forgot his name. Oh, and Antoine. Antoine's like kind of dismissive attitude towards the lawsuit.
Yeah.
Like in the text itself, it's not like explicitly stated that he's a sexist, but on top of just being a general douchebag, it's kind of like if you want to read it that way, you can read it that way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like, there's even a moment where I don't know if it's like two people are spending time together in the cubicle. He's like, "And you are fired." It's just little moments like that are great. I'm a freaking SWAT's invaded, terminated. Taika needs to be in everything. But yeah, it's like they get through it, they get everything they need. Like, you even get to have Ryan have his happy moment where he's just like, again, back to the love story, is like, I'll make it easy for you. Go get your dude. He's there. And the only moment it led to the cool moment of them finally having their get together. I will admit though, one of my buddies, Morgan, admitted it. Like, I was wondering if it was going to bug anybody else. It's just like they're staring at each other across that road, traffic going nonstop. Neither of them look at the road, and they just walk right in. And I was going to kind of be like, is one of them going to be hit? And they're programming another video game about real life.
I know it feels like that's where they're headed.
Yeah, that was weird. But kind of like Jumanji being in real life now, like at the end of the second one, where they were like, they were stampeding through whatever. But the fact that you had basically a mirroring happy ending where Millie and Ryan and Guy split, where they got to have their happy endings, which is basically ending in the same way, to where Guy his whole life was looking for his dream girl and he didn't need it. He had his best buddy the whole time. Kind of like, that's kind of cool. The thing, fucking dude's carrying him. He's like, and they can complete whole sentences. I can bench press a sentence. That's not quite the same thing, dude. You seem adjective. Ha ha! Horror laughter. Everything about it was great. And like, what is the name of the actor that plays Buddy?
Buddy, that's Lil Ray Howery.
Lil Ray Howery. That dude was great. There's a couple of people that could not have pulled off how over the top that guy was at almost all moments toward the second half of that movie. And he didn't get irritating. He was always like screaming or going as hard as he could, and it worked.
Wait, hold on. I'm on the Wikipedia page, and there's a couple more cameos we should point out. Okay, so we know Channing Tatum is hero.
Yeah, Channing Tatum. That was going to mention. Hugh Jackman is the guy that Millie gets the info from.
Yep. Tina Fey is Keith. That's the 22-year-old, the mom who's vacuuming.
Really?
Yep. Dwayne Johnson is a bank robber, and John Krasinski is a silhouetted gamer.
He's the dude that's talking about killing the NPCs in the news?
Oh, if that's him, then yes.
Oh yeah, because they have that one gamer that I need to go watch it again. I did hear a thing about the Dwayne Johnson being the bank voice of the bank robber, which makes sense. Man, this is going to be hard. The first bank robbery that happens, the little girl that's not playing in the video game.
Oh, like the friend who's like, just like
waste his ass.
Yeah.
Does she look familiar?
Kinda.
I swear I've seen her in something. It's weird, but she looked scarily familiar, and I wouldn't know what her name was or what they would even title her in the credits.
Keep talking. I'm gonna look her up.
Yeah, the NPC stuff, that was all great. All the NPCs wanting to have their own lives, like I want to make you want to make a cappuccino. Goddamn difference in the world. That is so much better. Oh, again, just going back to the writing being great, and of course, Ryan finally got his freaking movie with Hugh Jackman, where he never got to be in the same scene as him. But like, I didn't realize that was. Go ahead.
So her name is Colette Levy.
Okay, is that Levy's daughter?
Yeah.
Okay. Has she been in anything?
Literally nothing.
Then my brain just fried. She looks so familiar. I can't figure out why. I don't know if she just... Man, that's going to bug me. If anyone that watches this can somehow mind meld with me into to the actor that looks like her, that I thought she was in a movie, let me know, because I swear to God I saw her in another movie.
But you know what? This is a good thing, because maybe she wants to be like an actor growing up, and Hollywood nepotism. So like a lot of the names that we're familiar with, they are the children of big name directors.
Oh yeah, that's like Nick Cage is Coppola's kid, right? Or am I wrong?
He's in the family. I don't know his exact lineage.
He's a Coppola. It's just like I didn't realize that until a stupid later part of my life. I was like, really? And then it's like maybe they don't want to use the name and stuff like that. And then you really got to get into the culture of how many people's names are changed. Fun fact, didn't know this one until I saw that internet list, that Michael Keaton's real name is Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
That's crazy. He had to change his name.
Yep.
That's great. But yeah, and then some of them actually want to change the name back. Like I believe Emma Stone's one of them that wants to get her that she said that she wished that she hadn't changed her name, but then SAG's weird. Yeah, it's a whole different can of worms. But yeah, I'm honestly shocked at how good this is. Not a stab at the movie. I've said this multiple times. I thought this movie was going to be good, and it ended up being great.
Last thing before we wrap this up, I promised that we would talk about Deadpool.
Yes.
We're
talking about the commercial.
Well, we'll talk about that, but I've got two questions. One, how likely is it now that Sean Levy will direct a Deadpool 3? Number one. And number two, how likely will it be that Korg makes an appearance? Partially because of the commercial.
Okay. Two, I got 1,000% seeing Korg making a cameo because, again, it's Disney, baby. They can do whatever they want. And Ryan got them to okay the Lion King twice joke. So Ryan knows how to worm his way in to get certain things okayed. And I'm pretty sure he's going to be producing the third one because I think he had a lot to do with how the second one was made.
Oh, he's been a producer on both of them.
Yeah. I don't know about Sean Levy directing it because I don't know how much of a sensibility he has towards more adult-ish content. If I want to say, I could see him help producing it possibly because like him and Ryan work really well together. But I thought you were going to ask me about a PG-13 Deadpool, which I still to this day think you could make one. I wouldn't want one as my first choice. And then people are like, well, they tried making one. It was bad. I'm like, no, they did not. They tried cutting down an R-rated version to make it PG-13. I think you can make a PG-13 Deadpool if you start at the basis of it starting as a PG-13 Deadpool movie and then make that the whole running gag of the film. A lot of the time is that he's stuck in a PG-13 movie.
I agree with that, but at the same time, I did enjoy how they framed Once Upon a Deadpool.
Oh, so did I. Yep. It's just that's what a lot of people's contingency towards why a 13 can't work is because they didn't like that one. I'm like, but that wasn't a PG-13 movie. It was an edited R-rated movie. So they just went whole chunk right out the window. But
it's kind of like why people say they don't like 3D movies when at most they've probably only seen like post-converted 3D films.
Yeah. Yeah, that's still one of the greatest moments of my entire life is in the original Avengers I saw in 3D on opening night. Again, because of the crowd reaction. But there's the moment when I believe they're called Leviathans, the big flying snake things. Or like, I believe they're called Leviathans.
I think they were at least inspired by Leviathans. I know they were fighting the Chitauri, but
yeah, but the thing when it comes down the street before Bruce Banner transforms and punches it, I don't know how they did this effect, but it freaked the shit out of me. When that thing, there's a shot where it's coming like this at the screen at you, but then they turn so that you can see the Avengers, and the shot is where it goes like this and then goes forward. In the 3D, they made it look like that thing came out of your head. I don't remember how they did it, but it scared the shit out of me, and it was the coolest thing ever. Like, they did the 3D effect in reverse to where it was, like, sucking into the screen versus making it look like it came out. Oh, it was magical. It was so cool. Or, like, you get 3D movies like The Green Hornet. I regret seeing that movie. It was my first 3D movie ever, and the only 3D that was in it was at the movie. They made a big hornet come out of the screen during the credits in 3D.
That's it?
They had like 1 or 2 bullets fall off the screen during the climactic part in like the newspaper room or whatever. That was it.
Yeah, see, this is why I've never liked post converted 3D.
Yeah. But anyway, back to, if you're watching this, you've already seen it, but man, it gets me very excited that Ryan's going to be having this Fox or whatever merger, because he's kind of a golden boy, and Disney, from all considering of what Ryan, if Ryan's being honest and what he said, they were very happy with how Free Guy turned out.
Mm-hmm.
And they want more stuff from him. So that gets my Deadpool heart very, very happy.
Something else I'll mention, and then we can wrap it up here. As of this recording, CinemaCon is right around the corner, so I'm sure Disney and or 20th Century Studios will have an announcement soon about Deadpool if there's something ready to be talked about.
Yeah, he's gotten to the point of where someone asked him in an interview and he was very candid. He's like, already? And then someone mentioned the time. He's like, late 2022 shooting or something like that? Mid? Yeah, that seems realistic. I'm just like, what? But, yeah, it's crazy that they're just going to... The possibilities of what could show up in that movie now are off the charts. But yeah, I'm happy that they'll have stuff to talk about again. But before we go on, and this is the first time it ever hit me, how weird is it seeing 20th Century Studios?
I've gotten a little bit used to it because the first time I saw that logo was when I saw the remake of Call of the Wild.
This is my first time seeing it that I can recollect.
And
I don't know if I didn't notice it before, but this is the first one where it stuck out, and I was like, "Oh."
I will admit it will never not be weird to to see the logo and not see the Fox name.
Yeah, it's so weird that they just literally just boop, like they didn't change it at all. They were like, we want to keep the nostalgia of the pomp and circumstance of everybody knows from Fox, but we're not going to let it keep being called Fox. I'm like, you own it. They're not your competition anymore. Why are you changing it?
To be fair, though, I wouldn't want to be associated with Rupert Murdoch either.
Rupert Murdoch, no. I get that. But it's just, it's weird. It's just basically like, we're gonna buy Chevy. We're going to keep the cross and everything. We're just going to call it Car Maker now. Ha! But anyway, yeah. We both really like the movie.
Yeah. Because of the pandemic, if you're not comfortable seeing this in the theater, we understand, but all things being equal, go see this.
Yes, if it's humanly possible, go see it. It's a different, more toned down version of Ryan, which is kind of different. It's still his comedic stylings, but it's more toned down, and the movie has a shockingly large more amount of heart to it than I thought it was going to. So, but yeah, it's my favorite movie that's come out this year. I know that's not a high bar, but
it's not my number one, but it's definitely in my top 10.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd have a movie immediately after Suicide Squad that I would like more than Suicide Squad, but yeah, I don't know if it's just because it spoke to me so much and just like it's so good. Anyway, yeah, let's get on out of here. Mike, where can people stop that? Where can people reach you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can find me in all the various Facebook groups just at my name. You can check out Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. Look for us on Podchaser. Listen to all of our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen. And last but not least, check out renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we.
Yes. Shocking with that about this whole movie basically being an escape from what you're being told to do. But yeah, and you can find me everywhere at Organoid Zero, mostly on Twitch, a lot of stuff on YouTube, and popping up every now and then at random stuff on Renegade Pop Culture as well. And yeah, I legitimately don't know what the next movie review is going to be, so I'm not even going to attempt to guess. But until next time, don't have a good day.
Have a great one.
day. See you guys.